So I read 20 books this month, 2,760 pages with my eyes, and 122 hours with my ears. We have a ton of books to get through this month. We are going to be wrapping up all of them, starting with my least favorite and ending with my most favorite. So let's get started. Jumping right into my least favorite book this month, that is First Down by Grace Riley. This book started off so strong. I thought, I was like immediately like, wow, this is so much better than Icebreaker. This is everything Icebreaker wasn't. And then it got worse. I felt like instead of the characters like developing, they just got worse. Like we went from like college romance, and I felt like we were entering freshman high school romance with like how immature they started just acting. And then the ending of the book just kind of, I know that like people love to do like just wrap it up with a bow, and that's what was done in this book, and I just felt like it just did not go with this book whatsoever. Honestly, I was just disappointed. Like I was enjoying this book so much in the beginning and everything. I was just like becoming less and less interested and more annoyed and just like upset. And for that, this book's gonna be getting 2 stars. I did not hate this book as much as Icebreaker, and I just don't feel like it is 1 star. Just feeling the 2 star right now. We're gonna give this author a second chance, and we will see if things get better. So next up we have Weather Girl by Rachel Lynn Solomon. So if you've seen the movie Set It Up on Netflix, this book is kind of just that in book form, where they're trying to set up their bosses and then they find love along the way. It's the love along the way that made me just like not enjoy this book as much. I just did not feel really any chemistry from these characters, and just like slowly just kind of just didn't care about them. This could have been, I should have just DNF'd this book, but I didn't. I pulled through and finished it, and it just was kind of unmemorable, and yeah, it was a little disappointing. This is going to be 2-star read for me. I am going to try to read more by this author. I don't think I'm going to do that anytime soon, but I'm holding out hope that I'll enjoy some of her other books. So then I read Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. This book was very fun, and I enjoyed both of the characters. I love Zath and I love Danny. I did not love Zath and Danny. I really liked them as individuals, but like to me, them as a couple, I was not feeling it. The best way I can describe it, you know how you have that one friend where you're like, no, I think you need therapy? That is how I felt with both of these characters, and I would have loved to have maybe seen like an epilogue of where they like many years down the road and now they're together. But like, I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it. I just felt like they needed to work on themselves a little more than working on themselves. But because I loved them so much as individuals, it just made this like a 3-star read for me. I didn't like want to go any lower, but I just like, I couldn't go any higher knowing that like this is a romance book and I didn't like the romance. But I'm definitely going to be reading more by this author. One of her other books will be showing up later in this video. So next I read Pride, Prejudice, and Other Flavors by Sonali Dev. And first off, if you are somebody that wants an exact like Pride and Prejudice retelling, no like straying from the original story, not the book for you. Don't read this book, you're not gonna like it. This was more of a like gender swap retelling, and that was kind of fun. If you're not somebody that likes like a medical like plot of a book, you might also not enjoy this book as much because it's very heavy on a medical plot. And I would definitely suggest checking like trigger warnings before picking this up. Your girl's a sucker for a Pride and Prejudice retelling. Anything Jane Austen retelling, I'm going to read it. And I'm almost always going to like it. Unless it's Mr. Malcolm's List, then I'm not going to like it. For me, there just wasn't like any like amazing wow factor of this read, but like I'm still a sucker for a Pride and Prejudice retelling, and like I felt like this book fit those vibes, and so it just kind of hit. I'll definitely be reading more by this author. I'm already reading one of her other retellings, and we'll see that in my August reading wrap up next month. For me, this was like a 3-star read. There wasn't anything like pushing it higher, but like I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the couple, I enjoyed the other characters. I'm kind of excited for how the author is like connecting all the characters into like her retellings, and so it's kind of fun that like you get to, like the side characters are gonna make an appearance again in like their own book. Next up we have Meeting at the Altar by Christine Joy. This was a very fun like small town romance. It had friends to enemies to lovers, married at first sight, it was closed door, and this just was like a fun like in-between reads book for me. Again, nothing like super like awesome and wow factor, but like just like a nice like you want a romance, here's your romance type of book, and so I enjoyed it. This was just like a nice like you want to read a romance, here's a romance. You don't like, you just want like a nice simple romance, and this was that book for me. Again, this is gonna be 3 stars. It didn't have anything like, wow, this is awesome, but it was just like, yeah, I wanted a romance, I got a romance. Now we have Teach Me by Olivia Dade, and this book made me realize kind of like how low the bar is for me when it comes to romances, because I was like, don't get me wrong, I was kicking my feet giggling while reading this book, but like at the ending of it, I was like, the communication, the healthy relationship, being nice to each other, oh my gosh. And now I'm looking back at that and I'm like, really? The bare minimum? Okay. I started this at 4 stars and I feel like it's probably more like 3.5 stars, just like basing it off of how I normally review books. But like, again, this was just like, I wanted a romance, I got a romance, and the wow factor was the bare minimum. So I'm feeling more like maybe 3.5 to 4 stars for this one, but this was a very fun, fast read. I finished this book so quickly, and I cannot wait to read more by this author. So then I read The Boyfriend Candidate by Ashley Winstead, and this book, it was like so shocking. I went into this book thinking like, I just want like another like just simple romance read. I don't need anything special. And like I left this book like feeling that wow factor. This time it was not like bare minimum wow factor. I loved the chemistry between these characters so much. And I was kicking my feet giggling. I was enjoying every second. And I ate this book right up. So in this book you had Alexis, our main character, who is this like reserved librarian. She's just been dumped and she wants to like go out and have a one-night stand. The person that she ends up not having a one-night stand with, but almost having a one-night stand with, is Logan, who is going to end up being a politician. He's running for Texas mayor. And so paparazzi like catches them, and so then it develops into a fake dating romance, and you're just kind of navigating that with them. And I loved every second of it. This was such a fun read. This is 4 stars for me. I wish we had Logan's point of view. I feel like that's what would have made this more of like a 5-star read, but like for me this was just a good comfy 4-star read, and I loved it. Next I read Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert, and this book I loved. This was a great fun read. I absolutely loved Eve and Jacob. They were the sweetest, cutest couple ever, and I loved every second of their book. I have not read the first book of these sisters, but I can kind of see what people meant by like each book just gets a little better, because I love this so much more than Dani Brown, and I could see like how much better like the writing was getting, and so I loved this book. I felt that the ending was like a little slow, kind of dragged a little bit, and so for me that's gonna like drop this down to like 4.5 stars, but I loved them so much. This book had like that cute bed breakfast trope of like small town romance. It had grumpy sunshine, love a grumpy sunshine, close proximity. They were like roommates for like a little bit in the book, and this was just such a fun, cute read. I loved it. This was great. 4.5 stars. Highly recommend. Next up, I read Beach Read by Emily Henry. I know I'm late to like reading most of her books. It's fine, we're getting there. This book for me was such a wild ride, because I would be so pissed off one moment, and then like kicking my feet, giggling the next. I really just hated the dad. I really was like so upset at him, and you'll learn in this book why. But I felt so much anger, and I would just have to like put this book down and read something else. And such strong emotions reading this book. Oh my gosh. This was another small town romance, Grumpy Sunshine. For me, this was like another 4-star read. I just like, for this being a romance, I was just feeling so much anger a lot of the time, and so I just can't give it 5 stars. But I love the couple a lot, and I understand like the Emily Henry hype, and I will finish reading her books. But yeah, this was a good read. Check trigger warnings, make sure it's okay for you. Don't go into this being so angry like I was, but yeah, 4 stars. So now we have 2 books actually, and that's gonna be It Happened One Summer and Hook, Line, Sinker by Tessa Bailey. I enjoyed both of these books. I think I liked this one a little bit more. I just felt like the characters were written a little bit better and were more relatable than they were in this one. In this one, I just felt like the love interest, Brendan, was just like there. Like, I don't really remember a whole lot about him. He was just kind of like, yep, that's the love interest, I guess. But like, I thought Piper was written so well for being like an it girl. Like, this gave me like that Legally Blonde type vibe, and I loved her quite a lot. If Elle Woods is not like someone you enjoy as a character, don't read this book, because you're not going to like it. Piper is just like that, and she was so much fun, but like, I can totally understand why someone might not vibe with that. I felt like Fox and Hannah in this book were very cute. It was like friends to lovers, and I loved everything about it. Again, I've said this before, but like, I'm in my like friends to lovers era where I'm just enjoying these books now. Like, last year I hated everything about friends to lovers, but right now I'm like all there for it. Definitely read these books if you're someone who loves sisterly love, a small town romance. This one's that Grumpy Sunshine. This is that friends to lovers. Fast burn, slow burn. These were just cute. These were like very quick reads. I loved them. I can't believe I've waited this long to read any book by Tessa Bailey, and now I understand. I understand the hype, but definitely recommend these books. So now we are entering the 5-star read territory. Finding which one was my most favorite book of all of these was so hard, and you might, if you follow me on other things, you might know what book I'm going to have as my favorite, but like, some of you might be a little shocked. So starting off with some of like the cute 5-star reads I had this month, that is Heartstopper Volume 3 and Volume 4. These are just like such nice, cozy books. I loved Volume 1 and 2. I don't know why I didn't like immediately read 3 and 4 after. I didn't, but I did read them now, and these are like just that nice warm hug. Volume 4 was a bit of a heavier topic, but I felt like the author handled it very well, and I'm so excited for Volume 5 to come out, and I believe Volume 6 is supposed to come out maybe next year. I'm excited. These are great reads. I love them. Another cute book I read this month that would be Spy X Family Volume 1 and Volume 2. These are, again, fun, cute reads. Oh my gosh. I love the fact that like everybody is so unaware of each other's like special abilities. It is very funny. Like, the spy doesn't know that he's married, that he's like his fake wife's an assassin, and they don't know that their fake child can read their minds. Like, no one knows anything, and it is just so much fun. Like, this is a very cute book. I love everything about it. The cuteness is like just gonna make this 5 stars. Like, I can't put it down. Like, when I'm reading this, I just like go through it so fast, and I'm just like ready for the next one. My library holds for all the rest of the volumes should be coming in sometime this week, and that will be all that I'm reading. So heading back more into the romance books, I read I Think He Knows by Katie Bailey. Look, if Katie Bailey writes it, I am going to read it. I am going to love it. Like, every book that she's ever released has been almost like an instant 5 stars for me. I love her writing. I love her romance books. They are great, nice, warm hug. It is truly amazing. Like, this is one of my favorite authors. But this book is just so cute. It is on Kindle Unlimited, so if you have that, please go read this book. Like, go read it right now. I love it. I love Katie Bailey. I don't know what to tell y'all. This is just a fact at this point, and you're just gonna have to accept it, that if Katie Bailey releases something, you can just immediately assume I'm going to give it 5 stars. So coming in 4th place, taking a switch from romance, we're heading right into fantasy, and that is Fourth Wing. I really loved this book a lot. This book has reignited my love for like fantasy books. I was taking such a hiatus from reading anything that was a series. I think like the last series I might have read would have been The Cruel Prince, and that's been it. I haven't wanted to read anything else. Like if it's a fantasy book and in a series, I'm not picking it up. I'm not going to read it. And this book right here, now I'm in the middle of like 3 different fantasy books, and we'll probably discuss those next month in the August reading wrap up. But like, this just had everything. This book hit every single mark for me. For me, the writing in this book was like perfect. I'm pretty sure I read in one of the author's interviews where she described that she wrote this in a way so that like it's almost like somebody with ADHD, and then like everything kind of like jumps around and like you unlock different information all throughout it, and I absolutely loved that. I'm somebody that hates when you're spending like the first like half of the book just doing world building, and I'm like, let's just get into it. Let's learn about those other things when we need to learn about them, and let's just like get right into the characters and everything. And this book did exactly that, and I loved it. I have a lot to say about this book, but I read 20 books this month and we have to move this video along. So I'll probably be talking about this book in one of my later videos where I talk about like some of my favorite books this year, because this book is one of them. This book is definitely one of them. 5 stars. If you haven't read it, read it. The audiobook for this is also really good. That's how I originally read this book, was through the audiobook, because that's all that my library had. And then this one came in, and now I'm going back through it and rereading it and tabbing it, and this, I loved it. Oh my gosh. So now in 3rd place, we have Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This book was so much fun. However, I do wish that the ex, someone punched him, or even the parents. I was just like so upset at them, and I was like, no, they are assholes. Someone please correct this. But I loved Alexis and Daniel. I loved their chemistry. I loved how they brought out like the best in each other. They were so cute. Again, like their communication between each other, I felt was like correct for like who they are and where they are in their lives, and I loved them as a couple. I loved everything about this book. I loved the little bits of like magic appearance with like the house. This was such like a good, fun, cute read. I read like somebody like had a review on this book where they were like, this was like a shot of happiness, and that is so true about this book. This was so good. I was in such a great mood after reading this book. I loved it. I haven't stopped thinking about Alexis and Daniel. I think that they are so cute. I wish that I could have like more about them. I just want to like, I want like another epilogue. I want more about these characters. I love them so, so much. So 5 stars. Coming in at 2nd place, this was a book that I was surprised at how many people like did not really enjoy it, because I loved it so, so much. And that is Happy Place by Emily Henry. I don't have the book right now because I don't like hardback covers of like romance books, so we are waiting for the paperback. But like this book had me laughing and crying and just like feeling every single emotion imaginable, and I loved it. I loved every second of it. This was easily my favorite Emily Henry book so far. Like, this was just amazing. I felt like I connected to like every single character in this book. Like each character that appeared on the page, I was like, yeah, I can like, I feel that, I understand. And to me, I felt like I was part of like this big friend group. Like it just felt like, yep, I'm here, I'm in this story, let's get all this drama figured out. And I loved it. We have our main couple, Harriet and Wynne. where they've actually broken up and none of their friends know yet. And they're having like one last week at like this like summer home that they've all like shared with their friends like from college till now. They're gonna be pretend dating during this time, and then they'll let everyone know. Like the flashback scenes, you're like reading about how they're going from being friends to lovers, and then in like present day you're reading again about, this time more of like hurt. Like they're both like hurt by each other's actions, but they're becoming friends and becoming lovers once again. Normally I hate when we have like flashbacks in books, but I felt like it worked so well for this one, where like you have like the happy place in real life, and they just like both kind of like worked together so well. Like I'd be finishing one and I'd be like, okay, I kind of want to know where we are in like real life right now, and then we'd be there immediately, and like vice versa. And I have no complaints about this book. Like I don't have anything I didn't like. I was just crying like with these characters like falling back in love with each other. I love this book. I'm going to cry just like rethinking about this book. This was a really good book. I loved it. And coming in at first place, the book I loved the most this month, and that is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This book, oh my gosh, I loved it. Loved everything. Again, this is why it was so hard to pick which one was my favorite, because again, I have no complaints about this book. I loved every single second of this book. You have like these two characters where like they've both been hurt in the past, but now like they get to find love with each other, and it starts off workplace like momentarily like I'm annoyed with you, and then like develops into a friendship, and then fake dating, and then love. And it was this was a beautiful read. And normally I'm somebody where I hate miscommunication in books, but I felt like for these characters it fits so well with like who they are as people, and so for me it just felt realistic. Miscommunication trope, A+ in this book. This was executed very, very well. Normally I'm very cautious when it comes to like characters that like are obviously suffering like anxiety and also trust issues, in that like, oh, they suffer these things and now they're in a happy relationship and everything's cured. I did not get that type of vibe from this book. Like it was still very much present, and they were still very much like suffering those issues. And it wasn't just that like, oh, I'm in a relationship and everything's like great and perfect. No, it was like, I'm in a relationship and I'm still like, I still have my trust issues. I'm still like overthinking everything. I'm still like having anxiety attacks. Like that's still a thing. You're not just simply cured. And I love that about this book. I hate when it's like, oh, everything's perfect now. I would like wrap it with a bow, tie it all together. Nope, still there. This was another book where I laughed, I cried, I felt everything with the characters. I felt like I was right there with them. I felt like the ending of this book was also like just perfect for the story. Like it fit. It didn't, to me, it didn't feel rushed. It felt like, yeah, this is exactly how these characters would progress. It was very cute watching these like two people that like at the very beginning were kind of like about each other, and then like develop this friendship and develop crushes on each other, and like get into like the real feelings and loving each other and working through like their issues. And it was just, this was a very sweet read. It felt very realistic with like, yeah, this is how people like this would act. 100% agree. Again, I have not stopped thinking about this book, and as soon as I finished reading it from the library, I went and bought it, like a physical copy, because I just enjoyed it that much. This was just so good. Giving this book 5 stars was like just easy 5-star. My biggest complaint about these books is they are not the same height. This is very annoying to me. So that's it for this month's reading wrap up. We had 20 books to get through, and we got through all of them. Surprisingly, no 1-star reads this month. Can I keep that up for August? We'll see. But I really enjoyed like so many of the books I read this month. This was like such a good 4 or 5-star month. Like we love reading good books. If there's a book you think I might enjoy, comment it down below. If you would like to hear more about some of the books that I really love this month, let me know and we can make a whole video about them. Happy reading, everyone. See you in the next one. Bye.